In the shimmering heart of Johannesburg, a luxury hotel glowed against the night sky. Its tall glass walls reflected the city lights, while expensive cars lined the entrance. Chauffeurs opened doors for men in perfectly tailored tuxedos and women in glamorous designer gowns. The air was filled with soft jazz music, clinking glasses, and the scent of roses decorating every corner of the grand hall. Inside, the Emerald Gala was in full swing. It was an annual gathering of Africa's wealthiest millionaires and influencers. A place where deals were whispered over champagne and reputations sparkled like diamonds. At the center of it all was Zara Moinji, a tall black African woman in her early 30s. She wore a flowing emerald green gown, her natural curls styled elegantly, and her eyes carried both confidence and quiet pain. But unlike the others, Zara wasn't invited as a guest of honor. She was invited as a token, someone barely acknowledged in the circle of elites. Her past was no secret. Raised in poverty, she had fought her way through education, built small businesses, and carved a reputation as a sharp entrepreneur. Yet in the eyes of these millionaires, she was still not one of them. As she entered the ballroom, whispers followed. Who invited her? One man in a navy tuxedo murmured to his companion, "She doesn't belong here. Just look at her." Another woman in a golden gown scoffed, her diamond necklace glittering as much as her cold smile. A third voice laughed softly. "I heard she used to sell fruit on the roadside. Can you imagine? From market stalls to gala halls. How amusing." Zara heard every word, but she held her head high. She walked to the refreshment table, picked up a glass of sparkling water, and reminded herself why she came. She wasn't here to beg for approval. She was here to observe, to learn, and to remember. Still, the mocking grew louder. A group of wealthy women cornered her near the dance floor. Their gowns shimmered under the crystal chandeliers as they sneered. "So, Zara, did you borrow that dress for tonight?" One asked sarcastically. Another chuckled. "Oh, darling, maybe she stitched it herself." "Isn't that what small business women do?" Laughter echoed. Sharp and cutting, Zara's lips curved into the faintest smile. She refused to break. "You ladies look stunning tonight," she replied calmly. Her voice was steady, dignified. "But I don't measure beauty by price tags." The women blinked, surprised at her composure. But before they could respond, the gala host, a tall man in a white tuxedo, tapped his glass for attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "thank you for joining the Emerald Gala. Tonight we celebrate wealth, progress, and the vision of Africa's elite future." Applause filled the hall. Guests lifted their glasses in toasts, while photographers captured the glittering smiles. Yet behind those smiles, many eyes still shifted toward Zara with mockery. Later that night, during the charity auction, Zara quietly sat at a corner table. Guests bid millions on rare art pieces, diamond sets, and luxury trips. Each round of applause reminded Zara of the gap between her and them, or at least, the gap they thought existed. One man, seated near her, leaned over with a smirk. "Enjoying the show, Miss Moanji? Don't worry, maybe one day you'll afford a ticket to Paris instead of watching us buy them." His friends burst into laughter. Zara's fingers tightened on her glass, but her face remained calm. She whispered to herself, "They laugh now, but tomorrow is coming." When the gala ended, the guests left in convoys of black cars. Zara stepped outside into the cool night air, her gown flowing around her like a queen's robe. She looked back at the towering hotel, the very building that housed so much arrogance, and made a silent promise. The next morning, as the city awakened under golden sunlight, whispers spread across business circles. A shocking announcement appeared in the newspapers and across digital screens. Emerald Palace Hotel officially acquired by Moinji Holdings. The very hotel where Zara was mocked now belonged to her. Overnight, she had become not just an entrepreneur, but the owner of one of Johannesburg's most prestigious establishments. Inside the same hotel lobby, staff members buzzed with excitement. Some had overheard guests mocking Zara the previous night and now watched in awe as her name appeared on the ownership plaque. One young receptionist whispered, "She was here last night. And now she owns the place. Incredible." By afternoon, news spread like wildfire across the elite circles. Phones rang endlessly, meetings were canceled, and social media erupted with headlines. At the top floor of the hotel, inside the newly designated owner's suite, Zara stood by the glass wall overlooking the city. She wore a sleek black business suit, her hair tied neatly, her presence radiating power. Hem. Her assistant said, handing her a folder, "All legal transfers are complete. The hotel is officially yours." Zara smiled softly, remembering the laughter, the whispers, the humiliation. She placed the folder on the polished desk and turned to the window. "Good," she said. "Let them see me now." Meanwhile, in lavish mansions across the city, the very millionaires who mocked her were stunned into silence. At a private brunch, some of them gathered, voices filled with disbelief. "She bought it, the entire hotel." One gasped, another shook his head, "But how, when? She doesn't have that kind of wealth." A woman in pearls muttered bitterly, "We laughed at her. Now we'll have 2 book rooms under her name." The irony was sharp, cutting deeper than any insult they had ever thrown. And in that moment, Zara Mwangi was no longer just the woman they mocked at a gala. She was a symbol, a reminder, a storm they never saw coming. She whispered to herself with quiet triumph, "This is only the beginning." The sun dipped low over Johannesburg, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Inside the Emerald Palace Hotel, a new atmosphere was brewing. Staff members whispered in the corridors, their steps quick, their eyes filled with pride. The once distant name Mwangi Holdings now hung proudly in the lobby. On the top floor, Zara Mwangi sat in her new office. The room was sleek and modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city's skyline. She wore a fitted navy blue pantsuit, her confidence radiating as she flipped through reports. Yet her thoughts drifted back to the laughter from the gala night. "They thought I was beneath them. Tonight, they will know who I truly am." Her assistant, a young man in a tailored gray suit, entered with a tablet in hand. "Ma'am, the board meeting is ready and the guest list for tonight's investor dinner has been confirmed." Zara smiled calmly. "Good. Let's make sure they see the difference between mockery and respect." That evening, the grand ballroom of the hotel once again sparkled under crystal chandeliers. But this time, the atmosphere carried a different energy. The very millionaires who mocked Zara 2 nights ago walked in nervously, adjusting their suits and gowns. They were here as her guests now, stepping into her hotel under her name. Zara descended the grand staircase in a sleek black gown, her presence commanding the room. Conversations hushed. Photographers captured the moment as she moved toward the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice calm yet powerful. "2 nights ago, I stood in this very hall as a guest. Some of you saw me as an outsider. Some mocked me. But I did not come here to be accepted. I came here to remind myself where I was headed." She paused, her eyes sweeping across the room. Every gaze was fixed on her. "And today, as the new owner of Emerald Palace Hotel, I welcome you. Not as people above me, but as equals. This place will no longer be a symbol of arrogance, but of opportunity." The room erupted in polite applause, though some clapped with clenched jaws. Among them was the woman in the golden gown, who had mocked her dress. Her smile was tight, her pride wounded. After the speech, guests mingled with drinks in hand. A group of businessmen approached Zara, their earlier arrogance replaced with forced politeness. Miss Mwangi once said, adjusting his tie, "I must say your acquisition was impressive. Perhaps we could discuss partnerships." Zara's lips curved into a cool smile. "Partnerships? When I sought collaboration years ago, doors were shut. Now that I own the building, suddenly those doors swing open." The men exchanged uneasy glances. One finally said, "Business is business." Zara leaned closer, her voice steady. "So is respect. Without it, business crumbles. She turned away gracefully, leaving them speechless. Across the room, the woman in pearls whispered to a friend, "She has changed everything." We laughed, but she turned laughter into power. Later that night, Zara called the hotel staff to the center of the ballroom. Dressed smartly in uniforms, they looked uncertain. No owner had ever acknowledged them at such an event. "These people," Zara announced, "are the true foundation of this hotel." From the reception desk to housekeeping, from chefs to managers, they are the ones who make Emerald Palace shine. Applause filled the hall, genuine this time. Some staff wiped away tears. For them, Zara wasn't just a new owner. She was one of their own, someone who understood humility and respect. Near the bar, the same group of wealthy women who mocked Zara earlier gathered. Their designer gowns glittered, but their laughter was gone. She turned the tables completely. One muttered, another sighed, and she didn't even need to insult us back. She let success speak for her. Zara walked past them, pausing only to say, "True elegance isn't in the jewels you wear, but in the way you treat others." Her words, soft but sharp, cut deeper than any insult. As the dinner ended, guests left with a new perspective. Some carried admiration, others envy, but none could deny Zara's power. Back in her office, Zara stood by the window, looking at the city lights. Her assistant entered quietly. "Ma'am, tonight was a success. The investors are impressed, the staff are inspired, and those who mocked you are silent." Exhaled slowly, her gaze steady. Success isn't about silencing others. It's about giving a voice to those who were never heard. Her assistant smiled with admiration. "And you've done exactly that." Zara placed her hand on the glass, her reflection merging with the city beyond. "This hotel is just the beginning. One day, there will be no circles of exclusion, only circles of growth." The camera would slowly zoom out, showing the Emerald Palace Hotel glowing under the moonlight, its name shining proudly. Zara's voice, calm and resolute, would echo as narration. "They mocked me when they thought I was powerless. But power isn't in wealth alone. It's in perseverance, in dignity, in believing when no one else does. They laughed at me inside these walls, but now these walls carry my name. And tomorrow, they will carry the names of many others who dared to dream." The screen fades to black with the words, "Respect is wealth, dignity is power." Never underestimate the one you mock.